February, a month filled with strong women, and I'm with Sarah Kelsey. This is My $1 Million Life.
You should do a dance routine.
That's right. Hi, I'm LJ Jellison. Welcome to My $1 Million Life. Today, I am very excited to be with Sarah Kelsey of Rhinestone Lipgloss.
Yes.
Sarah reached out to me around Christmas time, just
Yeah,
before Christmas
I
time.
think so. Mm-hmm.
And just kind of introduced herself, shared that she enjoyed what I was doing with My $1 Million Life, and I was like, all right, sweet. I love
Let's add to that.
I love that you just took it upon yourself to reach out. When I set out to do Strong Women in February, she was one of the first ones that popped up to the top of my head. So for everybody who doesn't know you yet, tell me a little bit about Rhinestone Lipgloss.
So Rhinestone Lipgloss is a company that actually has two fronts. Initially, we started out making earrings. We hand make Swarovski earrings that are extremely lightweight. Any of you girls know that have been to prom or have been in any type of pageant know that heavy earrings they're just awful. I mean, they hurt, they get stuck in your hair. They're just not a good time. So we set out to change that. And in doing that, this brand has turned into proof that you can make a living doing whatever you want. I have a degree in Chinese. I'm a Mandarin translator by trade. This came out of nowhere. It was, frankly, one big happy accident. And, you know, I thought it was just a jewelry brand until our girls started coming to us and saying, you know what, like, we see that you've done this with nothing. We have no loans and we have no debt and just a lot of unhealthy obsession, basically. But it has turned into proof that if you want something bad enough, like, you don't have to stick to the 9 to 5. You don't have to, you know, follow the crowd, if you will. And so this brand, not only do we create awesome, comfortable, shiny earrings, but just let everybody know that you really can do whatever you want in life, and it doesn't have to suck. You don't have to wake up like cranky because you're going to a job you hate. And
Playing with jewelry all day is not too bad either.
No, it sure doesn't.
Nice
It doesn't stink. No, we make all kinds of stuff shiny.
So you started off in the horse world. Your first passion, would you say first passion?
Absolutely.
Was equestrian?
Yes.
And it was a show riding? What exactly did you do there?
So I showed Morgan horses, which, for lack of a better explanation, they just pick up their feet really high and they're really fancy. So I grew up showing horses, and that was absolutely my first obsession and passion, and transitioned into barrel racing, which is on a whole different spectrum from what I did growing up. I had some money left over from a barrel race that I had won, and to be completely honest, I had gone through a divorce, and I was living with my parents and really just kind of like feeling like a loser for lack. I mean, I think everybody kind of has a valley, right? And that was kind of mine. And I was at this huge horse show in Ohio called the Quarter Horse Congress, and I made a pair of earrings just messing around, and they were big. And the girls, I competed in them the next day, and these girls were like, "How are you riding in those huge earrings?" And I'm like, "Well, they're really light." And I took them out and handed them to them, and I still have this very first pair, and they're awful. Like, they're so bad. I thought they were amazing, and I was like, whoa. I said, "They're really light," and they said, "Can we buy these off of you?" And I said, "No, but I'll make you a pair." And so it truly just snowballed. And at this point in time, you know, I was like living the corporate dream. I had a beautiful office, a job I loved, 401k, benefits. Like, I was adulting. I was doing the things, right? Doing the adult. And my current husband, which he was, you know, my boyfriend at the time, he said, this Rhinestone lip gloss is, well, frankly, it's getting out of control. You know, he said, you're working on orders before you go to work, and then you go to work, and then you come home and work on more orders. He's like, this isn't healthy. Right. And I said, so what am I supposed to do? And he said, you need to make a decision. And I thought, well, okay, just so we're clear, you want me to leave a job that I spent 6 years in college preparing for, right? 401k, health insurance, you know, like all of the things. You want me to leave that to glue rhinestones on things? Like, that's the transition. Right. And my husband's job, he travels all over, and I was really kind of bitter, like, here I am kind of stuck in my office. And I didn't hate my job, but he's traveling, and I'm not.
Right.
And I thought, you know what, this is one shot I've got to take this leap. And if it fails, then I go back to work, right? Like, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But I think everybody at some point in time, there comes a V, there comes a fork. And if you go left or if you go right, it's going to change everything. Either you're going to regret not doing this for the rest of your life, or you're going to take the leap. You're going to do the Steve Harvey jump, and your life is going to blow your mind every single day. So I left my office job, and I had $85 left over from my barrel race horse that she had won, and I bought my first package of wholesale Swarovski stones and got my vendor's license, and it snowballed.
Wow.
And we have no loans and no debt, and I think a lot of people, that's, I don't have the money to start the business. Cool, neither did I.
Yep.
But I had some pretty obsessive tendencies.
And support.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things when it comes to making those big leaps. If you're rolling solo, shooting for the stars and falling doesn't really affect you. When you've got husband or kids, it becomes a little more.
There's other people in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There's
and then to tell your mom, hey, mom and dad,
guess what?
Guess what I'm going to do?
All those school loans?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I'll just take my degree. This isn't working. Can I have my money back? You can't go back to Ohio State and say, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I still pay my student loans every month.
Yeah.
But I don't, before, like I said, I had my job and I liked it. And I made enough money to pay my student loans. I certainly wasn't rolling in money.
Yeah.
I'm not really rolling in it now, but I don't worry like I did. It wasn't okay, and there's two sides of this coin too. On Friday, you get $500 every Friday. Well, that's great, but now nobody's paying me on Friday,
right.
So I have to make sure that I hustle appropriately, and that the lack of safety net is scary. But if you can overcome that, your life will blow your mind every day.
Absolutely.
And I love it. When I first started Rhinestone Lip Gloss, all I wanted it to be was a little boutique thing that I would set up on the weekends at horse shows and make enough money to pay my entry fees. So maybe at the most $300 a weekend.
Right.
That's it. You can't do anything with $300. You can't do a thing with that. But that's all I wanted. And, we bought the little boutique shirts and the little, the wholesale jewelry, we do all this. And then my clients, I think you have to follow the market. And I know we both really like Gary Vee.
Yeah.
And he talks about that, you don't determine what's popular, the market does. And if I would have stuck to what I wanted to do, Rhinestone Lip Gloss would probably still be this tiny little booth. And now we have work in 13 countries. I mean, we have work all over the world. We have work on people like Dolly Parton and Reba McEntire and, just Miss America contestants, Miss USA, Miss Rodeo. Our client list, even though I made that client list, it's still, I'm who is this? Did I do this? It's unreal. But you have to follow what you want to do, but you have to tweak it for what your clientele or what the market wants. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to
quickly be out of business.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter what you want anymore. I know that I want to make beautiful things, and I know that I want to work when I want to work, which
is all the time.
Yeah, which is all the time. I went from working 40 hours a week to about 90.
All right. Speaking to someone who may be a little stuck, who may be facing transition, who may be, empty nesters, or kids just going to school, or maybe starting out in the world and not being able to find your path. Advice from your background.
The first thing you have to do is figure out what sets your soul on fire. And I don't mean something that you like to do. I like to eat. I love to eat. That's not, because I like it, that's not enough. You have to find whatever it is, and I don't care if it's underwater basket weaving. If that's what, it's a thing. If that's what sets your soul on fire, the first thing you think of when you get out of bed
is underwater basket weaving.
Underwater basket weaving, that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, that if you look hard enough, you'll find a way to do it. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago, okay, Sarah, you're going to go, let's see, 10 years ago, that would have been 2008. Okay, so you're going to finish college, you're going to have this great degree, it's going to look awesome on paper, but you're going to spend your life gluing rhinestones on things. Okay, drugs are bad and this is why. That makes no sense. But I didn't know I liked that.
Right.
And by just truly kind of messing around, just dabbling, like we talked about, I know we talked about this before, you know, when you go to a restaurant, how do you know what to order off the menu? Well, you know what you like because you've tried all the things. So your job, and I don't care if you're 19 or if you're an empty nester, if you're 59 and you've lost track because you've raised your children, you've raised your family, you need to go try everything on the menu. And a lot of it you're not going to like. But when you find that thing, when you find your chicken tenders and ranch dressing, which is my favorite, when you find that, then you have to take a step back and say, how can I make that work for me? Yep. And I'm not a business person. I mean, I am now. But I went to college for Mandarin Chinese. I was going to work for a company who had an accounting department, who had a marketing department, who had people that went to school for business. I didn't do that. Well, guess what? Now I'm all of those things. And I didn't intend for that to happen, but it did. And I have just as much fun listening to accounting audiobooks. I'm a total nerd. Because that's another tool I need to make this work for me.
Right.
So if you find your underwater basket weaving and you're like, this is it, your next job is to gather other tools to put in your toolbox to make that work. And if that's taking an Excel class because you don't know how to run it, just me also.
Most people.
Most people. I'm like, this is foreign. You know, if it's taking a marketing class, if you're older, Facebook, social media, it's foreign. Yeah. And I'm still learning stuff with that, you know, and I think we're probably close to the same age, and we kind of jumped on the social media bandwagon. Remember, Facebook came out when I was in college.
Right.
I remember when you could erase people's comments. Like that's, and I remember thinking, well, this is the stupidest idea ever. And now I run my entire company off of social media. Yeah. So you have to learn what you need, what your tools are, gather them, and make it work. Yeah. I mean, as long as you could, your first job is to find out what that one thing is. Yeah. And after that, it's just going to snowball.
Yeah, when you're finding out that passion you're talking about, taking everything on the menu and trying everything, you have to be flexible as well.
Oh, gosh.
You have to be willing to go from one thing to the next. One of the things that bothers me about the way that we've set up our society is that we encourage kids to go right from high school to college. And I've literally had kids say to me, I'm going to go find myself. No, you're not. You're going to find the 15 friends that are going to school with you. All you're doing is taking high school and replacing it with college and a lot bigger bill.
You're changing geography.
That's it. It's just geography. You're still partying with them, still hanging out. You're not exposing yourself to anything. I would love if we grew up in a culture that said, you know what, 2 years, go, backpack, vacation, visit. My wife, her first job, or second job actually, was on a cruise ship. I mean, it was Russia and the Baltic and the Mediterranean.
Oh, man.
Born and bred Ohio.
Yeah.
Traveled the world, came back a completely different individual. You have
that.
to go out and try not just careers, not just passions, but different geographies, different lives, different cultures.
Go see the mountains. Yeah. Go see the Alps. Go see Appalachia.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of people that don't get to West Virginia. We're like 3 hours.
Right there.
I can see it. I agree a billion %. We want kids, and I was the weird kid that always knew what I wanted to do. Like I was that kid.
Was it always Chinese?
It was always translating for a language that was not popular. Huh. I didn't want to speak Spanish because everybody speaks Spanish. I didn't want to speak French just because I just didn't want to. I have good reason. And so I decided, because in 2001 I went to Germany for horses to ride, and I got separated from my family in Berlin. Yeah. And I could speak, but nobody could understand me. And it was the most helplessly terrifying feeling. I thought, okay, this is it. This is what I was in between like my sophomore, junior year of high school. And I'm like, I want to be a translator. I want to be the hero that finds this little lost girl from Ohio and saves the day. And I don't know why I felt that. I did. It was one of those things. So when I came back, I knew that I was going to go and be a translator. But it took me going across the world to Germany to realize this is what I want to do. So I was like the weird 1% kid who always knew, but there are so many, just right here, like in this tiny little town, hardly anybody leaves.
Right.
And now you want them to go decide what they want to do for the rest of their life?
Mm-hmm.
There is no wonder most people are miserable.
Yeah.
Because they get, like, okay, pick one of these 3 things. When in reality, there's 100 different things you could do.
Yeah.
And there's no exposure.
Yeah.
And I think that being, 18 is hard enough, but then the pressure of having to decide. And then, 10 years later, here I am doing something completely different.
Absolutely. Majority of the people I know who went to school for a degree come back and have a job that has nothing to do with the degree.
Yes.
Does that mean you didn't learn something? Absolutely. You learned something.
Oh, yeah.
You got
you learn
through
what
it.
you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that is just as important. Like, I know I don't want to work outside.
Yeah.
I don't like to be cold. So I think that a lot of times learning what you don't want is
just as valuable.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah. And there's almost like the stigma where if you go to school for one thing and then you change your mind, or you come home and you do something different, it's almost kind of like a bad thing.
Yeah, like you failed. Or
like
something.
you failed.
Yeah.
Like you set a plan that you had no business setting because you didn't know what you wanted to do.
Yeah. And
then you deviated, and it's funny because I find myself, I've built this company from nothing. We have work in 13 countries, and I always find myself telling people I have a degree in Chinese, because I feel as though when you look at this, I don't want to say it makes me, how do I want to say this? Like, I want people to know that I'm smarter than just gluing rhinestones on things. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And
playing to the perceived.
Yes, because I think there is oh, that's cute. She's a professional bedazzler. What's it like to glue rhinestones on things every day? But it's like, when I step back and realize not only am I a designer, I'm an accountant, and I'm a marketer, and I'm a logistics planner, because I'm trying to figure out how to go. Like, I'm in Ohio right now, and I leave Monday, and I'll be in 11 states in 30 days, and I got to fly to LA and then back to Baltimore, and then I got to drive. I mean, I'm a logistics planner. I'm an inventory taker. This company runs out of rhinestones. Like, we get low on red rhinestones, everything stops.
Right.
But it's my job to make sure that we don't do that. And I've had to, in the past year, let go. I've had to hire a team, and that was
it takes,
tough.
yeah.
Letting
Trusting
go of
others.
control. Oh. I'm not a parent, but I can. My mother's like, this is like leaving your child at daycare.
All right, so tell me, how do you make that work and marriage work at the same time? Secrets to success.
I married a unicorn.
Did you?
I did. My husband is my best friend. We're the best friends. But I will tell you that he is also an entrepreneur, so he gets it. Mm-hmm. Roger built his own business 17 years ago. And he had a practice marriage as well. It's hard to build a company, because that company takes a ton of time. Yep. And if you're not with somebody, and my first marriage had this, I went through the same thing, because I'd kind of started Rhinestone Lipgloss at the end of my first marriage. If you're not with somebody who understands what it takes and is willing to support you and bring you coffee and bring you dinner, you have to have a marriage that has excellent communication, and you have to have a partner who is secure enough in themselves to understand, no, I don't love my business more than I love you. No, there's nobody at my business.
Right.
It has to be a team effort. There's a lot of times that my husband works sometimes until 10 o'clock at night, and I'll usually start something in the crock pot because I'm here. But I make it a point to take it to him. I get up 15 minutes for my husband every morning and make his coffee. And I don't have to do that. And a lot of people don't do that. But that's my way of saying, hey, I'm not going to get to spend the day with you because I'm going to be at my studio. But I'm going to get up early and make sure that your coffee is hot and ready. And we're going to spend 45 minutes every morning.
Quality time.
Not dealing with our clients. You have to find somebody who gets it and who sees the big picture and who is secure enough in themselves that I don't say their feelings don't get hurt, but I think they do, because a lot of times, you're putting your business before me, or you care about you're always on your phone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm always on my phone. That's where my customers are.
Yeah.
They live in this box, so it's right here. So you have to, communicate with your other half and say, here are my goals. Share your goals with them. If they don't know why you're doing it, they're probably going to get aggravated.
Absolutely. You have to make them part of the goal.
They
part
need
of the
to
journey.
be, absolutely. And if you say, okay, my goal is to make $125,000 this year, we're going to go to these few events, and I want to include you in that so they don't feel like they're being pushed aside for your, it's not like a selfish goal.
Right.
This is an us goal. My goal, my husband's job doesn't come with retirement, so we always joke that Rhinestone Lipgloss is his retirement plan. And he knows that, because it is. You know, my job, building this company, is going to allow he and I to spend our golden years together.
Right.
So I think if you just communicate and include them in that big picture, they should be good. And if not,
maybe you haven't found the right one.
Maybe you haven't
just
found,
like the business
just
and
like
passion
the business,
and everything else.
Try another something on the menu. But you know, get divorced.
Practice marriages.
Yes, practice marriages. They're very educational.
There, I have been married twice. In my first one, I always say, you know, to assume that you get everything right in your life the first time is a ridiculous notion.
Yes.
Does that mean that everybody should be getting divorced? No.
No.
But it doesn't mean that you're always going to get it right the first time either.
You're not. And I think there's a lot to be said about exiting when you know, like if you know you're lost, if we're going to the store and we know that we're lost, at some point in time we say, hey, you know what, this isn't right, and we make a change.
Yeah.
We don't just keep driving.
Yeah.
Randomly and end
Into
up
the
in
miserable
into
sunset.
the miserable cloudy sunset. You know, you say, "Hey, this isn't working,"
Yeah.
and you make a change.
Right.
And I think that can apply to your career, to an unhealthy marriage, to
Unhealthy relationship.
unhealthy
of any
relationship.
type, right?
Yeah, not even just a marriage, just a relationship.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, very cool. I'm glad that
Yes.
you sat down and had a
Yeah.
chat with me.
This has been awesome.
Sarah, Kelsey, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So they can check you out, Rhinestone Lipgloss,
Yeah.
on basically any social media
On
platform.
I don't do the Twitter.
You don't do the Twitter.
I don't do the Twitter.
You're too busy for that constant conversation.
I need more than 140 characters. I like to talk. So Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I'm like awkward penguin on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I'll be really good about posting stuff, and I'll be like crickets for a day or two because it's just me. And
I
it's
downloaded the app, and that's about as far as I got.
it's really good for like when we're on the road. We do a lot of really fun behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But Facebook and Instagram for sure. We have a website, rhinestonelipgloss.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Check her out. Get
Yes.
familiar with her. Fantastic
Lots
woman.
of
Thank
stuff.
you so much.
Thank you. Yes.
Tune in next week for your next Power Woman on My $1 Million Life.